Christopher Landon, it's such a pleasure to meet you.
Thanks, Tony.
I was a huge fan of your father's and met him a couple of times on sets and
Oh,
stuff
cool.
like that. But wow, you've come into your own as a director of thrillers and horror movies. Do you have an affinity toward that?
I sure hope so. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned my dad because he sort of raised me on a steady diet of horror movies. He loved horror, even though he didn't make anything even remotely like that. So I kind of feel like my career has sort of been an extension of that relationship.
Yeah, well, of course, I was a teenage werewolf,
Yeah.
but you've managed to kind of redefine horror with injecting a lot of humor into it and just giving us some great moments on screen. And Drop is no different. Wow. This just gets you from the first frame to the last frame, and what a ride this is.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, we built it to be, just a really suspenseful, exciting, thrilling movie.
Talk to me a little bit about, putting this all together because I mean your cast was, amazing. Everybody did their jobs, and there's a rhythm to this that's slightly different from most horror films.
Yeah, very much so. Look, I mean, I got very lucky. I had an unbelievable cast. Megan Fahey is phenomenal. Brandon Sklenar, the supporting cast is incredible. I had an amazing crew. We just had a very, very, very good time making this movie together. And yeah, definitely has a different cadence. It's a contained thriller. We're in this one location for a majority of the movie. And you're very much sort of experiencing this nightmare that's unfolding from her point of view, from Violet's point of view. And so it allowed me to kind of do some stuff that I've never done before in previous films from a visual perspective.
I would imagine shooting, basically in one location has got to be hugely problematic because you have to make it look different,
Mm.
almost scene to scene.
I mean, look, it's huge. It can be problematic if you let it. um, but I actually had more fun. We had this beautiful set, and I had total control of the environment, versus working in a location, where you're kind of stuck with what you have. And my director of photography, Mark Spicer, and we really just had a lot of fun figuring out ways to make people sitting at tables look interesting.
Well, kudos to the extras and atmosphere people because they did a great job.
They did a
You
great
know,
job.
I noticed things like that as well as the score is just so much fun.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean this is my fourth movie with Bear McCreary, who's our composer. And Bear is a genius. Like
Yeah.
he never lets me down.
Yeah. And what do you think audiences are going to take away from watching Drop?
I think they're gonna be surprised by how suspenseful, how funny, how emotional the movie is, and that it is a non-stop thrill ride. And I hope people go and see it in the theater because that's the way this was meant to be seen.
This reminds me so much of a Hitchcock film.
Awesome. I love that.
Thank you, Christopher. Lovely to
Take
meet you.
care.